Hola a todos! Hello everybody! Friday Technique class, here we are!
Good evening guys, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And tonight we have a full program. We are going to start with leaders, pure technique. So this is for solo dancers only, no couple work. We start with leaders at 7 p.m. now and
8 p.m. I'll come in to give you the followers technique and styling class. Tonight it's all about
Enrosques. Yes, so I hope that we like Enrosques. If you don't know what Enrosques are, we are going to take it bit by bit. So we'll have a look at the precise technique to have a nice enrosque or to enjoy a nice enrosques. So I think that's the program. If you have any questions, if you want to know, to tell us where you're watching this from, this is always interesting to know. So you can be on your chat on the YouTube channel. And I think we should get going.
Start. So
yes.
See you guys in 45 minutes. Enjoy.
Alright, here we go. So thank you very much again for everyone to join tonight, your Enrosques class for solo dancers. So a little kind of a context around Enrosques. So you might wonder, first of all, maybe you know what Enrosques is. If you don't, as I mentioned, we are going to take a look at in detail what it means to do Enrosques. But I would like to tell you the different kind of context that we have that you can use for Enrosques. First of all, Enrosques can be led. This is of course from the leader to the follower. I'm going to take a look, or I'm going to take a look later at how it's done. And of course, Enrosques can be seen as a means to decorate with a bit of drama. It's actually quite a strong statement to do an Enrosques. It's something that is requiring a little bit of preparation, that has a bit of release. So we're going to see what different types of Enrosques in terms of energy as well you can do in your dance. But for leaders, know for one thing is basically Enrosques is something that you need to practice at home before using it with your partner. Why? Because it actually tends to be a little bit difficult for balance. And therefore it takes a little bit of time for the body to understand the mechanics to be able to sustain a good axis, and therefore you are able to use it in the milonga when you feel that your balance is not compromised every time you do an enrosque. Remember one thing, as a leader we should not rely on the follower for balance, so this is why our little time at home to practice is so important in tango. And of course today, these days, given the situation, we have even more time than usual, so why not using this time to do a bit of enrosque. I always advise my students to do enrosques wherever they can, even if they are in the office, with your coffee, to see if the coffee is actually not spilling, if you have a good energy management, for the enrosque. So always try to practice, and actually after a while, if you practice your enrosques, you'll see that somehow, I don't know why, it becomes pleasant, almost like something automatic. So I know myself, I'm catching myself doing enrosques while I'm on the phone. I don't know why, just like body mechanics, so why not having a bit of fun as well. So the when the enrosque should be used in terms of the music, of course, to understand this is important. So when should I use my enrosque? When there is a statement, when there is something a bit strong in the music. Something typically, for example, like a pugliese would be a strong statement. You have a rum, something that is has a beginning, a middle, and an end, with a bit of a drama building up. We sometimes call it arrastre with the r, because that's exactly what the music does, is rum. So I'm going to use these times in the music where the bandoneon is kind of having this kind of style or stylistic device in the music, where I'm kind of feeling the music is being dragged and finally released, and this is when I can use my enrosque. So this is maybe the when. So you need three things for a good enrosque. You need a good balance. Of course, this is something that we are going to take a look at today. The second component of having a good enrosque in your dancing is to have a good connection and a good communication to your partner. And the reason is it takes a little bit of I would say energy in the couple to sustain the enrosque. So you need to have a good communication. You need to tell your partner, please bear with me, I'm kind of building my dissociation, we'll see how in a second, before I release from my Enrosques. So very important to have this good communication. Of course, the third aspect that is important is that you have a strong follow-up. That doesn't mean that she's going to help you with balance, because this is your job. It just means that she's not going to kill that energy that has built up in your body. So that means that when you send her around, she's going to continue with that movement until you finish the Enrosques. And this is something that we are going to have a look in couples on Sunday if you wonder, how it's going to work. So this is the three kind of conditions, if you like, for the Enrosques. We have, generally speaking, two types of Enrosques: the front Enrosques and the back Enrosques. We are going to have a look at both. And the other component of the Enrosques is they come in two colors or shapes, if you like: the soft and the sharp, or you could say the soft and the hard, doesn't matter. But these are the two components that will be able to be played with when you do your Enrosques. So let's start with our first type of Enrosques, the back Enrosques. But before I do that, I would like you to take a little look at the pivot technique to make sure that we have the right components in place to build that Enrosques. So I'm going to start with something which is simply a pivot, which is akin to a forward throw, if you like. So I'm going to go forward here, and I would like you to pivot when you are in axis. I'm going to have my weight onto my left leg here, but I'm going to make sure that I leave the right behind in a bit of a trailing way this way. Yes, so I'm not doing this, I'm not collecting and then pivoting, I'm actually leaving the leg behind. So let's do it a couple of times just to understand the dynamic of the preparation, the step before. I'm going to make sure I don't go too fast onto my front leg. I stay a little bit in the center. I'm not rushing into that because the energy is going to take me forward if I do. So I'm going to take my time. I'm going to build my dissociation as much as I can, and when I can't anymore, I'm going to release and finally have my foot come together. Let's try the other side. So you're on your left, the right is going forward this time, and I'm going to gently go and building my dissociation, and as I build my dissociation here, I bring my foot, but I'm going to let it straight a little bit more before I collect. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Note that the leg is left a little bit back before you collect. It's left a little bit back before you collect. 1, 2, and then I'm going to continuously do my outros here in this way. So let's put a bit of music and try together to establish this strong foundation for my Enrosques. Maybe something like this would be good. So I'm going to go forward, let it trail and collect. Forward, let it trail and collect. Let it trail and collect. Come. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, one thing I would like to mention for you guys is one little tip. Let me stop for a second. To create this nice sensation of pivot before we can do the Enrosques, I have a little tip for you. Is if I do it in front of the camera, I'm going to be able to go forwards and I'm going to dissociate, but it's going to feel better if I leave my hip behind. Can you see the dissociation here is not bringing my hip and I'm going to almost collapse here. On the contrary, I'm going to keep my hip open so that I create this sensation of power. Can you see? I'm opening the hip on the opposite side, my dissociation to the left, my hip going a little bit to the right, and that creates the torsion that I'm going to use to release and pivot this way. 1, 2, 3. Can you see that? If you feel that torsion in your spine, you'll feel that you have the possibility to really kind of wrap around this energy and use it to pivot. So let's do it a few more times together. So, 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, and so on and so forth. Good. So, let's add one little component now. We do the same, but this time I'm going to have a little bit of displacement of the foot. Before I start pivoting, I'm going to bring the heel of my back leg inwards, this way, until I feel that my big toe is more in contact with the floor. So before I was just going forwards, now I'm going to displace a little bit the leg inwards to have a stronger foundation here. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3. Can you see? I'm creating almost a contra energy or contra movement with the back foot and the back leg. That creates a sharper pivot. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes? So let's do it with music. I would like you to have a look at how you can really twist your spine a little bit more before you turn. So there's a real sensation of going this way with my foot, that way with my dissociation, until I can release here. So the release itself can be quite sharp if you bring that leg in and out. Ready? Okay, let's do it together. So, forward, in, out, and round. Right leg forward, here, in, round. 1, in, here. 1, in, release. 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 Note, a couple of things need to happen. I make sure that I stay with my head straight, and when I dissociate, I'm going to dissociate horizontally this way, never that way. So if you feel that you're losing your balance at this moment, it might be that you're doing that in your dissociation. So I like to hold my arms to be out, because I can check I'm straight and I'm not doing this here. My back foot should not impact the axis of the body here. So, 1, and I go here, here, 1, and here. Not there. Here, 1, 2, here, 1. Good, okay, right. So one last precision I would like to bring before we add the Enrosques is the reason I'm bringing my leg a little bit in, or my foot, is because I want the inner thigh and the glute to start working a little bit more. So I'm firing these muscles in preparation for the pivot. So of course here the pivot is only half turn, so it's not too bad, but we increase that amount in the future. This is why your axis and balance is so important here. So that moment here is when I bring everything inside me. I'm contracting a little bit my core, and I'm going to use that contraction of the core where I'm bringing my tummy inside, if you like, and I'm going to make sure that as I pivot at the end, I still have this core contraction. So I'm not going to go here and relax at the end, even though it's very, very tempting. I'm going to keep the core engaged until this moment here. I'm still engaged here, and then now maybe I can relax on the step afterwards. So I'm going to do it a couple more times, and then we are in Enrosques. So, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Okay, the music slows down here. Perfect occasion for me to have a look at questions, if any. Give me 1 second, I'll be back. Alright, so. Okay, so question is, where does this dissociation happen? In my opinion, the best dissociation you can get is the feeling where the torso is actually pivoting to one direction and the hips to the other direction. So dissociation will be felt here, really these two sets of muscles working against each other almost, where one is here and the other is here. This is where will be your best dissociation here. Of course, your hip might not travel that much backwards, but even if it's a little bit, it will create this sort of tension, which you can release for the Enrosques. So now that we have the right setup, we have the right axis, foundation, I'm going to be able to add the back Enrosques, where I'm going to leave my leg and I'm going to show you very slowly how it looks. I'm going to leave my leg back here and I'm going to only concentrate on the pivot. So as I'm concentrating on the pivot here, I kind of do the same, I'm doing the same as I did earlier, where my heel was coming a little bit inwards as I'm pivoting, and this will allow me to have the feet do basically a cross, but the feet connect in this way. So be careful that it's very tempting if you lose the big toe connection that we just created by having this kind of contraction inside here. This big toe connection is going to be very important in your Enrosques. Why? As soon as you leave the big toe connection from the back foot, it will start looking this way, and this is absolutely something that you would want to avoid, because this, first of all, doesn't look very good, and two, is not very stable at all. So the Enrosques is 2 feet on the floor, turning together. 1, 2. Can you see that as I'm pivoting, my 2 feet are on the floor, and I'm not doing this thing here. 1, 2. So this very small movement of the foot inwards is going to help me to create a nice Enrosques. If I leave it here, the Enrosques will become very late. Whereas if I go a little bit inwards, it happens a bit earlier. Can you see what's happening here? If I go inwards, then I have this sensation of creating a nice Enrosques. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. When you start, the first time you start your Enrosques or practicing your Enrosques, you realize that a lot of the time you'll be a bit too forward. It might be an indication that your back leg and back foot is not used enough. Make sure that as you pivot, at this time here, as I'm starting to collect my feet, I put some weight on the back foot. I'm not entirely on the front foot trying to do this kind of movement here. I'm using both feet and I end up here. So let's try to have a little bit more pivot. We'll try to do 3/4. I'm going to do the same, but this time I'm going to have a bit deeper dissociation here. Until here. I think it was 1 full turn. Let's do it a bit less. Maybe if I start here, and I will end up in this direction here. 1, 2, 3. And then as I finish my Enrosques, the secret for you is to not relax here. As soon as you relax, you're going to feel whoop, because there's a lot of weight that goes from front to back leg, and you're going to probably go backwards here, or lose your balance backwards. So you're going to go 1, 2, and here maintain everything, including the hips not traveling forward. Keep it back so that you have good alignments with the upper part of your body here. 1, 2, 3/4, and you finish here. One more time. 1, 2, 3/4, and you finish here. So there's a little sequence that you can use that we'll have a look at on Sunday, which works this way. You start with a side step. You come here, you collect first, and then you have this kind of Enrosque here. So I'd like to mention one thing. This type of Enrosque is an Enrosque where you start the pivot and the Enrosque happens naturally. Now we have another type of Enrosque where first is the contact of the feet and then is the actual pivot. These are two types, two slightly different colors or variations if you like. What we tend to do is to use the first type where the Enrosque happens naturally as a soft Enrosque, and the second type as a hard Enrosque or sharp Enrosque, where you go 1, 2, 3. Yes, so here the release is much stronger because I'm going to push downwards towards the floor. So let me explain a little bit this mechanism here. I'm going to build my dissociation. As I'm building my dissociation, I'm going to make sure that my hips are a little bit back and I start putting a little bit of weight on the back foot, not on the heel, but on the metatarsals. Then as I'm bringing my dissociation here, I'm going to bring everything together and I'm going to start the rotation by contracting the space between my legs so that my legs feel like it's really one single unit. If you try to do this with only one leg engaged and the other leg relaxed, it's going to be very difficult for balance. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Of course, you still need the time to build a dissociation. Do not try to do this and then pivot here, because this is very difficult. The reason being that you don't have the right amount of dissociation for the pivot. 1, 2, and 3. This you have this dissociation here, and you're going to do one more trick for this to be working better. One more tip is I'm going to build my dissociation, but at the end, if I do it with a bar, so we have to do it very slowly. At the end, I'm not going to go into here, I'm going to go beyond my torso. So I'm building some kind of contra dissociation if you like. I'm going beyond this part, I'm going all the way to this part here. See, my torso was left behind if you like, because my hips overtook my torso. 1, 2, 3, and so on. So our little sequence is going to be side, forward, and then here I'm going to do the same, but know that we are on the other leg. It shouldn't affect what you do, and you're going to do a step forward here. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Big dissociation. Hop and forward. Last time. Here. Forward, up and Enrosque, up, and finishing with the fourth step here. So, in terms of Enrosque, maybe one last little detail for the harsh or the sharp Enrosque is that the space between my feet has to be very, very small, or actually I should really compress the space as much as I can. You'd feel that you have much more balance when you start having, if I show you here, that part of my leg pushing against the other part, the other leg basically. So it's like the space I have between my two feet, which are in cross system, which are in cross, try to make them to make it as small as you can. In other terms, pushing one leg against another, because this is going to help you first with balance, and by doing so, you start being able to flex a bit to have a deeper dissociation. Boom, boom. Here, there. One, and one. So this leg and feet contact for me is one of the crucial elements in your Enrosque. As soon as you kind of have a bit of a loose connection with your feet, your Enrosques become much, much more difficult. So this is what the first chapter, if you like, about forward Enrosque. We're going to do a few last, and then we move to the next chapter, which is, sorry, the back Enrosque, moving to the front Enrosque. So let's do this one. We are going to go forward, and this time I'm going to go one full turn and finish here. One more time. I'm going forward to the left. I build my dissociation and I finish there. At this time, I really feel that my knees are pressing against one another to create the sensation that I have only one leg and not to create space here. One more time. Here. And then I press. At this stage, I might have a gentle transfer weight onto the back leg. And this is where I can start doing a decoration here. One. Association. Back and Enrosques. Full turn. Transfer weight. Lapis. One time. Here. And lapis, which is a big rotation before we go. Let's do it with the other side. I'm going to go with my right forward here, and I'm going to pivot. At this stage I secure my position here, and I stand my leg forward for the lapis. 1, 2, 3, and 4. One more time. And there. Okay. So this is your lapis to the left. And to the right. Okay, good. Right, so as mentioned, this is our first chapter, back Enrosques. Let's take a look at the front Enrosques. Now these front Enrosques are a little bit more tricky. So we are going to take in stages. I'm going to take in stages to explain what the foot, the hip, the axis need to do for this to work. So I would like, if you like, to invite you to take anything, a bottle, anything that you want, to put it on the floor this way, and to step to have your foot roughly half a foot distance. So if I show you so that you can see it from this angle, roughly this position here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what the foot is going to do with my bottle. I hope that you can see. It can be anything really, maybe something a little bit more visible on camera. Maybe this could work. Okay, probably a bit more visible because my bottle was transparent, so not very helpful. So I'm going to put my foot here, and I'm going to do the preparation for my Enrosques. So what does it mean? It means that I'm going to not bring my foot here because I don't have the space to enter. I just have just about that space between my foot and the object I just placed on the floor. I'm going to open my right hip, and my foot is going to be at 90-degree angle with my left foot. And I'm going to bring my foot forward and go around this foot almost to like park a car, if you like, when you have just enough space to go around another car. Yes, and I'm going to reverse by going forward, open the foot, and this time here I'm going to leave it to the side. I'm going to press on 2 feet, and I'm going to send it to a cross. I'm going to go back and repeat. So, little opening of the hip, I'm taking my foot in, out, and I cross to the back here. Yes? So I'll do it with music. Maybe I will change position so that you can see different angles. Let's do it together. Ready? So, I'm opening the hip, my foot is at an angle, I'm sending the foot right here, I'm parking the foot around the car, and I'm going to do the reverse, and I'm going to start pivoting on 2 feet before I cross. Now without stopping, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and open again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, opening. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where your left leg maybe starts to complain a bit, so relax a bit. And let's try again. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. One more time. Opening. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good. Okay. So this is where you start sending me messages that your left leg is actually very tired now. So the reason I'm going to do that movement here of my foot going around is because most of the time I'm going to do that type of Enrosque, I have very little space in front of me. So I can't just send my leg and back, I need to actually make it compact. And also it is going to help me to create an interesting dynamic in my body, an interesting twist in my spine to release for the Enrosque. So let's have a look at what it means when I'm going to, first of all, have my feet together. So this is the second part of the Enrosque, the actual pivot. Let's have our feet together in this way, and I'm going to have my left is on the back, so my left is on the back and my front foot is the right leg, and I'm going to start dissociating here, and I'm going to push the floor to have a sudden release. I'm doing quarter turn for now, and this is how I create the energy to pivot. If you feel that you are struggling to pivot, it might be that you are not flexing the knees. The idea is, as you are in a cross position with your right in front, you are going to be able to have the flexion of the knee, but be careful as you flex the knees, never to open this way, always in here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, very, very important that my feet are strongly attached together, glued to each other if you like, and I'm pressing the small toe of my right against the small toe of my left to keep really these feet together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's increase a bit the range. I'm going to do the same, but half turns. Now, for the half turns, it's going to be requiring me to go a little bit beyond with my hips. So, same position, dissociation, and 1, and 1. Note that at the start, I start my movement slowly and then I accelerate. Yeah? So, it's not uniformly quick. The start is actually quite soft, young. So it's like young. Yeah? It's not this straight away. It's build up the speed and you finish a little bit sharply. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Jump, bump, bump. Just a little break before we get dizzy. We can try the other side. So we have the left before the right leg, and I'm going this time to do a quarter turn. Here. Or half turn. Boom. So, as mentioned earlier, the big secret is the connection of the feet, that part, the knees, and this all pressing together. Now there's one more thing that you need to consider is the hip. The hip, as I mentioned, is going against the movement here, but be careful that by doing so and by flexing the knees that you don't start to drop one hip. A lot of people are losing their balance because the hips are not aligned. So as you do your pivot here or the other way, your hips have to be maintained. So be careful not to do any of this. It's really, really very well maintained and parallel to the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's put it in context of stepping and using what we did earlier, you know, the kind of foot going here. So how is it going to work? I'm going to do my step forward and I'm going to prepare my hip by opening here, and therefore this has the effect of opening the foot as well. So hip opening is this here, hip closing is that movement here. So I'm going to start with hip opening. I'm going to bring my foot all around. At the same time, I'm going to build my dissociation. At this stage, I have enough twist in the spine to release as we did earlier. Yeah, so we bring the two things together, the preparation here, and the actual release with my Enrosques. 1, 2, 3, and then I have two options. I can go forward with the right, or I can uncross and go forward with the left. Entirely up to you, and of course it's going to depend on what you want to do in your dancing. 1, 2, 3, and here I check I have a good balance. I have my 2 feet on the floor. I'm not too forward, I'm not too much back, I'm actually in my axis. Here, opening of the leg, of the foot, going around, building my dissociation, and Enrosques. 1, 2, 3, and I continue. 1, 2, 3, I continue here. 4. And then what you can play with is either a soft Enrosques like this, you take your time, pop, you take your time, or if you prefer, delay the rotation of the feet to make it a little bit more dramatic. 1, 2, boom. So the release here is more difficult because you have more energy to manage and control at the end of your Enrosques. But the idea is that you are going to use 2 feet and the heels of the 2 feet are strongly pushing the floor here. I'm not trying to do my Enrosques on my tippy toes. I'm using the entire foot on the floor. As I want to finish my Enrosques, I apply the brakes by putting the heels on the floor. 1, 2, 3. And here I feel I'm stable. 1. So let's add a little something which is a lapis. I'm going to do 2 kinds of lapis, either this one here, and I'm going to go on the other side here. If I use my first Enrosques, which was the back Enrosques, I can do my lapis by extending the leg which is in front. Yeah, so if I show you here, I'm going to do half turn, I'm going to do my front Enrosques, back Enrosques, and lapis, or I'm going to do my front Enrosques, pon, and lapis by opening the same leg, but this time going in a position. 1, 2, lapis, or 1, 2, and lapis in a position. One more time. 1, 2, lapis, and other foot, 2, lapis. There you go. Good. So I have a little exercise I would like to propose to you. To finish, we are going to mix the front and back Enrosques. We are going to do one full turn with the back Enrosques, followed by half turn by a front Enrosques. So you need to take your time so that you make sure that between the front and back Enrosques you have a good balance. So I'm going to start with this Enrosques, full turn, and then here I'm going to flex a bit more and add half a turn here with the second tap of Enrosques. Here I pivot, and here at this stage I need to have a little bit more at this stage here. One more time, so I'm going to go here, back Enrosques, and a bit more, of course we need more dissociation. I uncross, and I go Enrosques, and then here a bit more before I go forward here. Maybe use music, even nicer. So, you want to do it with me? Let's do it together. As I said, Enrosques take a bit of time, so you know, enjoy them. It's actually very important that you start enjoying them so that they start looking good. So, you start to the left. Here. One, and some more. Okay, one more time. Here. Here. And some more. 1, 2, and 3. Of course, I'm going to increase a little bit the speed so that there is no stopping in between. So, 1 and 2. Okay, one more time. 1 here and 2 there. Interesting, isn't it? Now, as you do, you can start playing with what you do with your back leg when you exit. So I could try this. Full Enrosques here, and then a little piqué when I exit here. Why not? Ready? 1, 2, and a little piqué here. Okay. Let's play now with our lapis. Here, I'm going to play with my lapis, and this time I'm going to do contra Enrosques. One more time. Here, full pivot, lapis, back cross, other side. One more time. 1, 2, lapis, up, contra Enrosques. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think it's time, no? Because Paula is here. Yes. Okay.
You know what that means when Paula's here. Did you miss me much?
This is a signal I should stop, or else.
Did you miss me much?
Loads.
Loads. So much. I can't even tell you.
I'm barely breathing. Well, thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me back, and thank you for delivering the class. It's soon going to be my turn. But before that, we're going to have a short break. And should we wrap up the class?
Absolutely. So, a couple of things for you to know, guys. First of all, we are back on Sunday. So Sunday, as I mentioned, it's a bit of a special day for us because we have at the same time the online class on Enrosques in couples using what we did today, absolutely what we did today. So do
first
not
class
miss it.
in person all these months, so it's been a long wait, guys.
Exactly, at the same time, we are giving the same class in person at our usual place in Angel in London. So for a few who actually are available in London and who are in couples or with their bubble, they can join on Sunday. We have a little practical as well, so that should be fun. And for those who are not in London, or maybe not available or having no partner, please join our online lesson exactly at the same time, 2 p.m. Beginners, 3 intermediates working on Enrosques. So this is the program. Next week, Wednesday is our next class, 7 and 8 p.m. And of course, our usual program on Friday and Sunday next week. Let's wrap up with one last little comment on the library. So this is where every class can be scene. So this is tangito.co.uk/library, and if you want to get onto the information group, this is a WhatsApp group. We send information about the classes, the program, if there's a change, maybe last minute, and this is where to send your details. And finally, this is where you can purchase your ticket if you haven't done so just yet, or you can make a donation if you can afford a little bit more. It really helps. This is our only job, so thank you very much for your support.
Thank you indeed, how they say in Britain.
Thank you. So,
see you guys in 15 minutes, more or less.
absolutely.
And the link is going to go in front of the camera, as usual, I believe.
Link?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Should I now?
yes, yes.
Okay.
See you in an hour, guys.
And for me, see you in 15 minutes, guys.
I hope that you like our wonky, mannequin.
He does the job not very
He
well,
does the
but
job, yeah, no, I don't know if he does the job anyway. It's very wonky. Sorry for that. Good evening and welcome back after your little break.
Yeah. I'm totally ready for this, guys.
Are you?
Yes.
That's very good. So
I
tonight,
love Enrosques.
you don't know why exactly. That's nice, no? It's a good,
Yes.
nice feeling in the body. Nice feeling.
Definitely.
So tonight, Enrosques, Enrosque, front, back, lateral, upside down. I don't know what you have prepared. Not
Upside down, I think maybe the session
No.
number 2.
On the hands, no? On the head? Hip hop?
That's
Okay.
not exactly what I had
I
in
tried,
mind.
ladies, I tried.
So
Okay, so Enrosque, 45 minutes. I'll be back in 45 minutes. So have a good class. Enjoy.
till then, enjoy
Okay.
your long break. Okay, guys, so we start with a foot warm-up. Then we're going to go into more details about the Enrosque, okay? So today we're going to do it without the music. And I'm going to speak it through. So feet together, organize yourself, wait a little bit at the back of the axis. And from here, you are going to press the toes against the floor and bring the heel down again. We are going to go into the front of the axis and then to the back of the axis. So press and back and press and back. So really work that big toe joint as much as possible and articulate, leaving the toes very well spread. Don't scrunch them, but spread them out. Yes, like this. From here we're going to do the same thing, but with a flexion of the standing leg as well. So now we get the standing leg working and the free leg, which is not so free because there's a bit of weight on it. It's also doing the work here by rolling the toes. Okay, we do a few times. You can have your position of the embrace or relax your arms, whatever you prefer. And here we are going to have a little stretch, so really press that heel towards the floor and keep the knees straight, both of them. Okay, and keep going and really feel that stretch, and if it's too much weight on the shoes, you will feel it. You can reduce a little bit of the weight, just have a bit of pressure and not too much weight. Okay, I'm going to turn this way. We are going to go into our push of the standing leg and change the weight. And again, heavy towards the floor, yes, and push. And up and over to transfer. And down, and a little bit faster, and change. And down, and up, and change. And now, flex and stretch. Flex and stretch. Few times. Really see if you can have a stable position here with the standing leg, and flex and stretch and flex and stretch, keeping the foot parallel, the hips parallel with the floor and facing forward without opening. Yes? Now changing, and we have our circles. So first, make sure you are grounded. From the center down, you drop with your weight, and then you pull up from the center so you don't collapse the whole thing. Yes, so from the center you pull up, at the same time dropping the weight down. This is how you get good balance. And here we go into our circles in, keeping the level of the hips parallel with the shoulders and parallel with the floor. We have our circles in and out. And change towards the outside, towards the inside, and repeating. So one more time, relaxing the shoulders. You're pulling up from the center, but you're not pulling up from the shoulders. Okay, and one last one. We're going side, back, push, arrive to the axis with a standing leg straight, and here flexing, collecting and pushing, flex and straight. Flex, heavy weight to the floor. Few more times. Okay, right, a little shake if you need one. We want to have one exercise to warm up the body for the Enrosques. So today we are not going to have our balancing exercise because I want to spend more time with the Enrosque. How about that? Yes? Good. So we're going to start with our first one. And I'm going to do lapis on the left leg first by remaining with my posture straight, sending the leg down, applying the technique that we were just speaking about before, pulling up from the center and from the hip, dropping down, the weight towards the floor. And we're going to do lapis starting with this association and coming back and continuing. So here and here, here and here. So what happens here? I keep my hips facing the same direction, but my upper body is alternating from rotation to the left, neutral, rotation to the right, and then use the standing leg to recover back to two legs. Changing the weight, we try now with the right leg. Up, disassociate, neutral to the other side. Up. One more time. And continuing and changing. Now what we want to do next, we are going to go into our first movement here. Now bringing that leg, passing the center. As I pass the center, I'm going to rotate even more. So the heel is already a little bit far away from the standing leg. And then I am going to rotate my left shoulder to the left, my right shoulder to the right. Okay? And what we create here is a situation where the foot is crossing without any weight in the Enrosque situation. Yes? So from here, we can recover and try to the right. So we have lapis here, bringing that leg in, and Enrosque. So let's just do a few times and then I'll explain a little bit technically, okay? So recover, facing forward again. Here, lapis, bring the leg in. When you bring the leg in, you rotate the upper body and pivot. And change. Right. Recover. Continue rotating. And Enrosque. Okay, a few more times. Forward, side, back, past the center, and pivot. Sharp pivot. See if you can make it sharp. I'm going a little bit forward, I'm running out of space. Forward, side, back, recover. Pass the center first, and then right and left. After a few times, you can then continue on the same side, repeating the legs. So you're going to rotate each time in the room this way. So this happens, you have the first one, and you could continue here into the next one. Yeah, so we would have always resetting the upper body. We go disassociation here and in preparing the Enrosque and continuing with the upper body into the next position, which would start here. Yes, so let's try a few times with the music together. Just a very quick sip of water before we start. Okay, there we go. So we're going to continue to the left now, yes? Let's talk a little bit technique as we go. Heavy weight to the floor with rotation. Left shoulder, right shoulder, and reset. Heavy weight. Bring it in, prepare the other side, and resetting. Forward, side, back, recovering, disassociation, and enrosque. Resetting. So be really aware of the phases. We go through here, here, and then here. Then we start again. Yes? So feel free to try the other side as well. So in this case we go forward, side, back, and recover. Recover here first. Passing the leg through the center and enrosque, and then reposition. So forward, side, back, bring it in, enrosque, and reset. Forward, side, back, in, enrosque, and reposition. Forward, side, back, in, and reposition. I give you a few seconds to try this out. I'll be right back. Okay, if you need more time later on, you can practice. We need to move on now to the next thing. We're going to apply the enrosque on an ocho forward situation, and we are going to start. Well, first of all, we're going to start with the back enrosque on an ocho forward situation, or forward ocho situation, and then we're going to have a forward enrosque with a forward ocho situation. Yes, so first of all, let's review the technique of the forward ocho, because it's always useful and it's also going to help us to be a little bit more clear with the actual step before the adorno, which is always important. Yes, focus on the basics, then add something on top. So we're going to start with just working a little bit with the forward ocho. And I'm going to start with transferring my weight to the right and turning my upper body to my partner, which in this case would be the mirror. And we're going to project. And here, for the purpose of having a small space, I'm not going to do a big push, but I should if I would be dancing with a partner and if the steps are big. But for now, we are going to do small steps. Yes, so I have my projection, and I'm going to step here right away. I'm going to push from the back leg, push, 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 and as I'm arriving to the axis, my left side is already rotating. So my hips go forward and my shoulder is already rotating. So I'm not arriving here, but I'm already starting here and going extra rotation at the end. Then I am going to initiate more movement to the left and sudden movement to the right. Okay? Now I could slow that down, even though it's a little bit difficult now without a partner, but I could slow that down to go from here into here. Okay? So let's do one more time this side. Just small step for now. Arrive with extra disassociation, and here taking the energy of the rotation and then counter rotation. The back leg, I'm going to leave it trading on the floor before I collect again. So here and pivot, step and pivot and step and pivot. Okay, so try some of these around the room first. So we're going to do in lines this way. Forward, ocho, and 8, articulating the foot, leaving the toes trailing behind, and the collection happens because the leg is continuing into the projection. So I pivot and counter pivot, counter pivot, contra pivot, counter pivot. You get the point. Yes? So, now that we revised the forward dorsal situation, let's see what can we do with that free leg that is left trailing behind. So, we have a situation here of the forward dorsal where the leg was left behind. And it almost has no weight. When we're going from the middle forward, it's releasing the weight onto that standing leg. So, let's say that I would want to do an enrosque, back enrosque in the forward dorsal situation. I then, by the way, if you don't know what enrosque means, it means screw. Yes, in English. So applied to the dance context here, it means that one leg is going behind the other in a turning motion, but it could also be in front, as we later are going to see the case of the forward enrosque. Yes, so coming back to the back enrosque, we're going to leave the leg trailing behind, and then as a first exercise, we are going to pivot just a little bit. Now start to pivot, I leave that leg a little bit lazy behind, and I'm going to bring that to a cross. At the moment, we are only doing 90 degrees as an exercise, yeah? So we have from here 90 degrees, and see if you can return. Forward, you continue the rotation, and leave the leg, big toe contact on the floor. Here, to come close to the other leg. Let me just lift my dress so you see. One leg is behind the other. One knee is ideally behind the other here. So not like this, Yeah? So we try to have one knee behind the other and achieve the feet as together as possible. Now for the people who can't, for some anatomical reason, can't really bring one leg behind the other, there is another way you can try to achieve that effect by thinking of the space you have in between the toes and the heel. You have some space inside the shoe here, inside this part, yeah? So between the forward part of the foot and the heel, you can try to achieve going into that space. So let me go a little bit closer to the camera and see if you can see my feet a little bit closer here. So you see that space between the toes and the heel. I can aim to have that inside the shoe. Yes, so if for some reason this is not possible, then I can rotate a little bit less and look for that space in between. So, coming back to the exercise, we're going forward and then we're going to bring that in and reverse and weight to the back. You can collect if you want and restart. So, forward and pivot, contra pivot and back. One more time. So, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 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 This exercise is just to get a little bit of the taste how both legs are going to encounter each other without having to do too much pivot. Yes, so this is just for you to get familiar with the back Enrosques situation. It's not the full thing yet. Okay? So let's try this side now. We're going to go forward, so forward and then starting with the upper body. Encounter both legs, turn and recover. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and change. Let's say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Last one. And change. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Forward half pivot and back. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If we put everything together into the next forward step, that means I need a little bit more energy to finish the other 90 degrees of my pivot. So instead of stopping here, I would continue with more energy into facing the other wall. So I would go arrive and then let that foot trailing behind, starting to pivot. Enrosque. Step, enrosque, step, enrosque, step, enrosque, step, enrosque, step, enrosque, step, enrosque. So a way to create a really nice effect is to delay as much as possible the free leg to go into that cross. And how do you achieve that control? By taking your time with the upper body rotation. Of course, you're going to also be depending on how much time you have from the leader to do this exercise. But let's say that we are in a context where we have time and we're doing slow ochos, which in my opinion are ideal for this kind of enrosque, not fast music. Yes? So, one more time, what you want here is to initiate and delay the back leg here and then delay. Forward, delay here and forward, delay. Forward, delay. Yes, let's try together a few times with the music. And guys, if you have any questions, anytime, you know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, it's very simple. You drop the question in the comment section below. Okay? Let's try this together. Let's maybe start a little bit more towards the back here. And we go. Take your time, yes? Be slow. Speed up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. Okay, so have a little practice with this. I saw a few questions popping up, so this is when I go and check them. I'm going to answer the first one. And the first question is, how can we ensure that the upper body does not go forwards when I am going into my enrosque? So the answer to that would be, if you work correctly with your alignment it should not be an issue whether it's just a normal ocho or ocho forward with enrosque. So the idea here, the secret, if I may say so, would be to the moment where you are arriving, you have to arrive with the hip. You see? So when I mean arriving with the hip, I don't mean arriving with the hip and leaving everything behind. I mean the hip has to be, or you can also think center, okay, same thing. The center has to arrive fully on top of my standing leg. Now, if I go with the upper body first into my enrosque, I did not allow for the alignment to take place because I went too early with my upper body around. So I need to let my center take me forward at the same time I'm rotating to the left. So there is two contra movements happening here. One go forward, the other one rotate. What you get is this. Instead of taking the hip with you too early or taking the upper body with you too early. So let me show you this way. You arrive with everything here. Now, once you have that in mind, you continue with the rotation. And repeat, arrive and rotate. Arrive and rotate. I hope this answers your question, and I'm quickly going to check the other question that just popped up. Okay, so the next question is, how low can I go with my knees on the flexion? Now this, I really think it depends on the situation that my leader is providing. So if the leader is arriving with a bent knee, it's very likely that I'm going to mirror that. Yes, so if he is going, stepping, let's say stepping back for the ocho, and he's leading the ocho, and he's going this way with a straight leg, it's fine. Sometimes he might go here and flex the standing knee. What's that going to happen then in my situation? How is it going to affect? It means that my step is going to arrive on a bent leg. So instead of me arriving here, I'm then going to arrive here. But this is not ideal. I don't think, even though the energy of the enrosque has a little bit of a spiraling energy, both knees have a little bit of tension between the legs. When I'm in tension, I don't mean overdoing, but there is a little bit of resistance of the legs, one towards the other. But I don't recommend flexion, okay? It's maybe for other enrosques, which I'm going to speak about later, it's more useful to arrive with slightly bent knee. For this back enrosque in the forward ocho, I don't recommend. But again, if the leader is arriving with a bent knee, this is what is going to happen. Yes, so my knees are now bent. So I would arrive and bend here, which for me, I don't think aesthetically works well. It would be different in a situation for the leader, for example, that has this situation here, and he wants to add a little bit of flexion at the end of the enrosque to lock the position. But this is a different concept. So for now, my recommendation is, whenever you step in any direction, aim to arrive on a straight knee. Yes, standard way. Of course, there are exceptions. So let me just check if there is any other questions. Off I go. Okay, so I'm going to speak a little bit now about the different effects that you can give the back enrosque on the forward ocho situation. You can have that dragging in, which is making the more spiral effect from the upper body all the way into the lower body and your feet. But you can also create a sharp enrosque by initiating the enrosque, first bringing the leg in and then adding the rotation. So it's two different timings. With the first one, the upper body starts, the leg goes into the enrosque. In the situation that I'm going to show you now, the leg goes first in and then the upper body works. Yes, so let's have a look. I'm going forward here and then the leg is going in. Yes, so I have not initiated much rotation yet, but the free leg is already looking for that place. So try a few times in your own time now to see if you can, instead of leaving the leg behind, if you can arrive and quickly in. Now the position of the feet, if you can see, what I like to do is to lift the toes off the floor, so I have a flex situation here and the heel is in contact with the floor. So forward, in. Yes? The knees are available, but they are not flexed. They are also not overextended. They are in a situation where they can go either way, in between. Yes? So, forward, arrive, and forward, and back to the axis. Step and in, and step and go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4. A few times. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and change. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So notice you have to arrive fully with that hip I was explaining before, arrive fully here before you bring the leg in. This will not work if I have not fully arrived and I try to push the leg in. Yeah, so the priority is arrive and continue into bringing the leg in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and the 2 and the 3. One more time this side. 1 and 2. 3 and 4, 1 and the 2 and the 3, and change. Last time this side, in and whoops, in and here, in and change. So you can try a few times to both sides if you'd like, maybe a little bit later because now I'd like to move on. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add that situation here and then the pivot. So I'm going forward, forward, bringing the foot in and pivot. So step and pivot, step and pivot, step and pivot, step and pivot. Now with the ends, I'll show you with a little bit more detail. You want to let the foot uncross naturally. So you arrive to the situation of your pivot and then let go of that foot by extending the toes and coming back into the collection. Step and pivot and let go. Step and pivot, let go. Step and pivot, etc., etc. Let's try a few times together with the music. So now, as you can see, the effect is faster in and delayed later. With the first starting option that we did was delaying and then crisp, I like to call crisp, I don't know why, sharper at the end. So this is a little bit different timing. Let me show you with the music. Okay, so we go here. Step and pivot and cross. 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 Now the previous one was this situation. Delay, in. Delay, in. Delay, in. This one, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. This is a little bit faster, so maybe you can slow down again. You can also go slow. You can alternate it. And quick, sharp. Step and sharp. Or delay and sharp, for example. Delay and sharp. Delay, sharp. The important thing here is that whatever option you choose, it's the upper body initiating the rotation for that pivot. Remember that. Most important thing you can learn from today. Upper body generates the energy for the Enrosques. Okay? Let me have a look, see what's going on in the chat. I'll be right back and give you some time to practice this. Okay guys, so still with the forward docho, we have another option which is the forward Enrosque, yes? So before we did the back Enrosque, and we can also do the forward Enrosque, which is initiated by the free leg and then upper body. So here, the free leg goes along and rotation of the upper body creates the Enrosque. So one important thing here is to remember to keep your hips facing forward whilst your upper body is associating. So you have this, which means feels a little bit like we are going together with the hip. But in fact, the hip stays forward, doesn't go with you. Yes, so that's something that sometimes I see results in mistakes, is that people start going with the hip too early. You have to go first with the free leg and then upper body. And now I'm going to have quick rotation on the left and quick rotation on the right. Yes, so I create a very sharp Enrosque. Keep the center engaged, yes? Keep the core muscles engaged, otherwise we're not going to be able to have a good alignment, and therefore we're going to be too much forward or too much back or not grounded enough in your own weight towards the floor. So engage the center, drop your weight to the floor, and with confidence, when you know the timing of things, it's going to become much easier, yes, to do this Enrosque. So let's do now with the other leg. I'm going forward, I'm going to rotate here to my right, but my hip is going to remain facing that way, not taking it with me. And sharp turn. Pivot, pivot. So you can see there is two different movements here. Hips that way, upper body that way. This is why we get so much pivot with so much sharpness. Yes? Let's try that a few times together. So take your time here, and then sharp. leg goes around, it's doing a half circle. Let me show you this way. It's going outside to create a bigger circle and then does not continue towards the inside, but it's going to shortcut it straight in because this is my partner space. Yes? So it's okay on the outer side because he's not there, he's here. So my leg can go outside, he's not in anybody's space, but when he comes in, he needs to come straight in line. Yes, have a look here. Does not continue that way, that's my partner's space, but it's coming in here, straight in. And then 180 degree pivot. Now, if we are in a situation that we are traveling, we are not staying on the spot, but we are traveling more, that means we have less rotation, less degrees of rotation, and we're moving more diagonally forward. So it will be something like that. Yes, have a little practice of that, and we're going to move on to the final thing today. Okay, I do not have as much time as I'd like to go into the Enrosques on the back ocho situation. However, I am going to give you a few options to play with, and we're starting today, and hopefully in another class soon I can develop on that. Yes, unfortunately time is limited, so without further ado, let's go for it. So we have back ocho situation here, starting with the pivot and then taking the center back with you. I could go into an enrosque before I uncross and go into the next ocho, for example. So I could have arrive, and then I'm going to bring that leg in the enrosque position and turn into the other side. Now the free leg could either go around, because there's nobody there, remember, so I have space here to play, or it can go straight into the back. So arrive. The most important thing is arrive on axis first. And when you are arriving, you already have the disassociation in place. And now we're going to the other side. Here, sharp. So back, arrive with the center, arrive, and the other side. And uncross, so you can lap it, so you can just from here, straight into the back, transfer, and enrosque. So this is a little bit more unusual. The enrosques on the forward ocho are somehow more thin, so why not maybe we can start thinking on other options that we have as well. During the back ocho, it's another possibility. So once you have done that, you can also first go with the leg and then pivot. Yeah, so first you could cross and pivot. Cross before the rotation, or cross here and then pivot in the cross. Here, cross, pivot, or crossing back and pivot. Do I still have time to demonstrate with the music? Yes? Okay. Okay guys, so we're starting with your back ocho situation here. Arrive, bringing the foot into the cross and pivot. Keeping the upper body into your partner, yeah? So one cross, arrive, shut. First, make sure you arrive fully with your center. Here, get a stable situation before you pivot yourself. And you could have several as a play here also. The other one is you transfer, you cross behind and pivot. And repeating, transfer, cross behind and pivot. A little bit faster. There you go, some options to play with. Oh, time just runs so fast when you're having fun. Can we have Bruno back?
Maybe
There he comes.
maybe we
Ladies
can.
and gentlemen,
Maybe
a
we
big
can.
applause for this man who organized all this idea. Although we are growing it together. Right, just
Yes,
say.
Of course, we are. So thank you so much for joining tonight. I hope that you had a bit of fun with your Enrosques. Remember, Enrosques take time and they take practice. So if you were struggling a little bit with some of the exercises that we showed you, it's okay, it's normal. But you'll be surprised how quickly you kind of get to know them and to like them, you know. So it's nice.
Yeah, I think when you have better understanding of the technique, it's more likely you start enjoying something because, okay, that's clicking, I understand now, it works, and suddenly you like it.
Exactly. That's how it works.
That's how it works. So that's why giving up is not a good idea until you get to the other side and actually starting to
giving
like
up?
it.
Nobody's giving up.
Oh.
You're not giving up, are you?
Oh, I'm just giving a motivation speech here.
I
It's
see,
still
I see.
coronavirus, you know, I'm just saying.
Exactly. But well, hopefully not for long. Well,
No.
we'll see.
We'll see, but everybody's doing the best. And again, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for your amazing support, unbelievable support over the last 6 months. And this is the reason why we are here with you today, because of you, because of your support. So thank you.
I think
I'm done. I spoke a lot already.
That's very good.
Yes,
You're in good form.
I'm done. You can do the links.
Okay, so to finish the class, next class is this coming Sunday. So Sunday, as we mentioned, we have two things at the same time: online, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and Enrosques primer, so for couples. And at the same time, we give the same class in person at our usual place at Unity in Angel in London. So it doesn't matter if you are not in London, you can see it online. If not, you can see it in person. And this is this coming Sunday. And of course, the hall is very big, but we have had to limit the numbers greatly, so we can't have such a big.
For safety reasons, obviously.
Exactly, for health and safety. Next one will be after that, the Wednesday next week. We have our 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. as usual, our Friday, and then Sunday next week as usual. So only this coming Sunday in 2 days is a bit special. So we hope that you can make either the online or the offline version of the Enrosques primer.
Till one day you can teletransport yourself. That'd be amazing, no? You could go from South Africa to Australia.
Well, this is a bit of teletransportation, you know, the online thing, you know, in a way.
Yes and no. It depends on how you see it. But maybe this is a conversation for another time.
The first Star Wars movie, you know, 1970 something, some 7 parts.
Times have.
When they had holograms, you know, and they're speaking to holograms. So now
we can't complain. It's going
better,
well
right?
in terms of development.
Exactly. So, two things. First of all, this is how you can, or where you can catch up with previous lessons. This is a library, very important address to know. Take a look. We have all the previous classes uploaded on this section, and then you can also register to the WhatsApp group. This is how the number to send a message to be part of the community of Tango. And then finally, we depend on you guys and on your new purchasing tickets. So this is where you can purchase a ticket or make a donation if you can afford a little bit more. tango.co.uk/donate. Thank you so much for your support, and it's time for us
to say a short goodbye,
goodbye.
Because we are going to be back Sunday, 2 p.m., 3 p.m. UK time. Always
online,
UK
offline,
time.
everywhere. Alright,
Great.
see you guys.
Good evening, guys. Ciao.
Good weekend.